Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dhanvatnam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. We'll start with our prayers and then reading Shri Prabhupada Lilamrit. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshutarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. Okay, so last week our prayer was Sri Jagannath Ashtakam, the Lord of the Universe, composed by Sri Adi Shankaracharya. This week we'll recite a new prayer and we'll continue with Adi Shankaracharya on this wonderful bhajan that he has given us. And Srila Prabhupada used to really like this and quoted this many times in his purports. So this is the Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam Stotram by Sri Adi Shankaracharya. So again, there are multiple verses, 30 plus, so we can read 10 verses every week. So we'll sing this today, first 10 verses, and then we'll read the translation. Hare Krishna. Okay. There is one word here, two words that are missing here. So we'll sing this and I'll send another link which has that. But this, of course, KK Songs has been our reference throughout. So we'll continue from this. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. Samprapte sannihite kale नहीं नहीं रक्षति दुकृन् करणे भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते मूढजहीहि धनागमतृष्णां कुरु सद्बुद्धिं मनसि वितृष्णां यल्लभसे निज कर्मोपात्तं वित्तं तेन विनोदय चित्तं नारीस्तनभर नाभिदेशं दृष्ट्वा मागामोहावेशम् एतन्मांसावसादिविकारं मनसि विचिन्तय वारं वारम् नलिनी दलगत जलमतितरलं तद्वज्जीवितमतिशयचपलं विद्धि व्याध्य भीमनग्रस्तं लोकं शोकहतं च समस्तं यावद्वित्तो पार्जनशक्तः स्थावनिज्ज परिवारो रक्तः पश्चाज्जीवति जर्जरदेहे वार्तां कोऽपि न पृच्छति गेहे यावत् पवनो निवसति देहे तावत् पृच्छति कुशलं गेहे गतवति वायौ देहापाये भार्या बेभ्यति तस्मिन् काये बालास्तावत् क्रीडासक्तः तरुणस्तावत् तरुणीसक्तः वृद्धस्तावच्चिन्तासक्तः परे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न सक्तः का ते कान्ता कस्ते पुत्रः संसारोऽयमतीव विचित्रः कस्य त्वं कः कुत आयतः तत्त्वं चिन्तय तदिह भ्रातः सत्सङ्गत्वे निस्सङ्गत्वं निस्सङ्गत्वे निर्मोहत्वं निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलत्वं निश्चलतत्वे जीवन्मुक्तः मुक्तिः व्यासीगते कः कामविकारः शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारः ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते सम्प्राप्ते सन्निहिते काले नहि नहि रक्षति दुकृन्करणे हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे भज गोविंदम स्तोत्रम की जय श्री आदि शंकराचार्य की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय. Okay, anybody would like to read the translation for these first 10 verses?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yes, thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams, Prabhuji. Worship Govinda, worship Govinda, worship Govinda. O fool, rules of grammar will not save you at the time of your death. O fool, give up your thirst to amass wealth. Devote your mind to thoughts to the real. Be content with what comes through actions already performed in the past. Do not get drowned in delusion by going wild with passions and lust, by seeing a woman's navel and chest, bodies of flesh, fat, and blood. Do not fail to remember this again and again in your mind. Uncertain is the life of a man as raindrops on a lotus leaf. Know that the whole world remains a prey to disease, ego, and grief. So long as a man is fit and able to support his family, see the affection all those around him show. But no one at home cares to even have a word with him when his body totters due to old age. When one is alive, his family members inquire kindly about his welfare. But when the soul departs from the body, even his wife runs away in fear of the corpse. Childhood is lost in play. Youth is lost by attachment to men. Old age passes away by thinking over many past things. Alas, hardly is there anyone who yearns to be lost in Parabrahman. Who is your wife? Who is your son? Strange is the samsara. Of whom are you? Where have you come from, brother? Ponder over these truths. From satsanga comes non attachment. From non attachment comes freedom from delusion, which leads to self settledness. From self settledness comes jivan mukti, liberation. What good is lust when youth was fled? What use is a lake which has no water? Where are the relatives when wealth is gone? Where is samsara, the continuation of birth and death, when the truth is known? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Mhm.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice meaning, Prabhuji.
Mhm. Krishna Shri Adi Shankaracharya ki jai. Yes, Shankar Bhagwan, even though he had been given the, um, you know, the service of preaching Mayavad philosophy to drive away uh, Buddhism at that point, people are becoming impersonalists and voidists. So, still, this is the last composition that Adi Shankaracharya wrote. Last Acharyas have mentioned that, and Srila Prabhupada says in his purports that um, this was the last composition, and this shows that even Shankaracharya, ultimately, this was his final conclusion to all his Mayavadi philosophers. That the first verse is, of course, very, very famous, and it is mentioned that Shankaracharya uh, composed this while walking on the banks of Ganges in Varanasi. When he was seeing his Mayavadi disciples were becoming so attached to philosophies and to grammar, Dukrin Karane is basically grammar, the suffixes, prefixes, and they were just, practicing more grammar. Yesterday we were reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, even there, Prabhupada says in the purport that the Mayavadi sannyasis are very particular about Sanskrit grammar, and only they who are learned of Vedantas, they consider them to be, or they are eligible to be sannyasis. So that is the Mayavadi philosophy. But ultimately, Sripad Sankaracharya is mentioning here that all this grammar is not going to be of any help to you. And at the time of death, samprapte sannihite kale, when your death comes, when your time comes near, all this will be just very useless things. So best thing for you is to bhaja Govindam, Govindam bhaja mudamate, O fool, just worship Govinda and better your life or make your life perfect. But yeah, all these have so very deep meanings, all his teachings, and it helps, just like we sing the Guru prayers, that our prayers remove the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of knowledge. So similarly, these prayers also remove the darkness of our material existence and teaches us what is real and what is unreal. Yeah, thank you, Mataji, for reading that. Okay, so we'll continue with Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit. We are on chapter 25. Yesterday, we saw Prabhupada is being treated in the hospital, Beth Israel Hospital in New York, but ultimately he was fed up after 9 days of being admitted in the hospital because these doctors and the medical science here has proven to be not very useful. So he just asks his disciples, Gargamuni, Prabhu, to just take him out, and he takes and runs away. Prabhupada is on the stretcher, but Brahmananda Prabhu comes and he pacifies the situation, and ultimately they tell the doctors that they don't want to be treated anymore. Prabhupada will be taken to a home to rest along the beach, and of course they will be giving the medication that the doctors have given him, but ultimately, they take him out of the hospital, even though the medical staff was not very happy. But yeah, Prabhupada knew what he was doing, and Krishna was the guiding force from within the heart, so he knew exactly. And as soon as he is discharged, he wants to go to the 22nd Avenue, ISKCON's first temple, and he pays his obeisances to his Guru Maharaj and to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, even despite his poor health. So that shows the amount of purity and the surrender that he has for his Guru Maharaj, and his disciples see that, like we say, actions speak louder than words. So Prabhupada, just being an acharya and just by his achar, he taught so much more than his words. So, and his disciples have become fully surrendered to Srila Prabhupada's words and his instructions, and that is what is the kind of the message that he wanted his disciples to take, that you should fully surrender to the instructions of the Guru Maharaj. And of course, we also saw that Prabhupada couldn't go because they had planned for this Tompkins Square festival on June 4th, but this was while Prabhupada was in the hospital. So he dictates a letter to his disciples, and then they read it out. Kirtananda Maharaj reads it out in the park. And he also shares the story of a girl who writes a letter to Prabhupada about how her life was transformed just by hearing the Sankirtan. Initially, she thinks that they were all crazy or they had, been on some doses of LSD. But as she follows them, her heart transforms just by chanting. She says that she was mesmerized just by the chant of Srila Prabhupada, and then she starts following him. And then some of his disciples ask her to come to the temple, and she eats some prashadam, she reads some literature, and her life is transformed forever. So that's like a practical case study of how life is transformed just by Sankirtan, just by eating prashadam. And that's what Prabhupada is telling to the young people of America, the youth, that please come, just chant. Here's a little philosophy of life from Krishna, and then eat prashadam and make your life perfect. Okay, so let's continue. We're reading from this part. The small one-story cottage was situated in a quiet suburb, a short walk from the beach. The backyard was enclosed by trees and shrubs, and the neighborhood bloomed with fragrant roses. But the weather was often blustery and the sky grey. Prabhupada spoke of returning to India to recuperate. In Delhi, Sri Krishna Pandit had refused Prabhupada's urgent request for Ayurvedic medicine. You are in such a long place. If the medicine gives some bad reaction, then how to arrange for the good? Prabhupada had written back asking if an Ayurvedic physician could be sent to America, but the proposal seemed impractical. It would be better for Prabhupada to go to India. He received Swami Narayan Maharaj's reply that since no Ayurvedic doctor would go to America, Swamiji should come and be treated in Calcutta. Narayana Maharaj also enclosed a letter to Prabhupada's secretary Rai Ram. There is no need for anxiety. Always utter Hari Nam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Near his ears, God will do for the best. Srila Prabhupada talked of going to India not only for his health. He told Kirtananda and Gaurasundara he wanted to start in Vrindavan an American house, a place where his American disciples could learn Vedic culture to help them preach all over the world. He also said he wanted to make some of his disciples, Kirtanananda, Brahmananda, Hayagriva, into sannyasis, and he would do that also in India. His real work, however, was in America. If he could just regain his health, but where was the sunshine? Govinda Dasi had cherished the desire to serve Swamiji personally ever since she had first met him in San Francisco. She saw that he was selfless, and his love for his disciples was unlike anything she had ever known before. She didn't mention her cherished desire to anyone, even to Gaurasundara. But now Krishna was fulfilling her desire by allowing her and Gaurasundara to come to New Jersey to serve Swamiji. With the devotees in New York, having a married couple take care of Swamiji seemed the best arrangement, and Govindadasi and Gaurasundara had been available. These were external reasons, but Govindadasi understood that Krishna was fulfilling her desire. Serving Swamiji, Govindadasi felt completely satisfied. Now that she was actually dedicating herself to Swamiji as she had always wanted, nothing else was on her mind. Despite the problems of working with Kirtanananda, who seemed to think she was less intelligent because she was a woman, and who sometimes corrected her, she was happy. Govindadasi. Swamiji would sit on a little couch with a table before him, and Gaurasundara and Kirtanananda and I would sit on the floor, and we would all eat together like a family. We would talk, and one time the subject was rice. Kirtanananda said, white rice is for human beings, and brown rice is for animals. So I said, I must be an animal then, because I really like brown rice better. And Swamiji just laughed and laughed and laughed. He thought it was so funny. I guess it sounded pretty simple, but he laughed and laughed. Prabhupada was sitting in the backyard when Govindadasi saw a large slug climbing on a wall. She showed it to Prabhupada. Chant to the poor thing, he said, and she began to chant Hare Krishna. Govindadasi would take walks daily and, with the neighbors' permission, pick dozens of roses. On returning, she would arrange them in vases and place them all around in Prabhupada's room. One time, when Prabhupada heard her loudly singing Hare Krishna as she returned from the neighborhood, he remarked to Gaurasundar, she is very simple-hearted, Govindadasi. Swamiji talked about Krishna in such a way that Krishna was present in the room. This was so striking to me. He would talk about Krishna's activities, about how Krishna is doing this and that, and how Krishna is so wonderful, and Mother Yashoda is thinking like this. He would talk and he would get into such a beautiful state that the whole room would glow golden. I would feel as if I were being transported to some other realm, and it was all very new to me. I didn't have any great understanding of what was going on, but it was all very new to me, and it was an actual transcendental experience of feeling Krishna's presence and almost glimpsing within the heart the memory of his pastimes. Swamiji playing kartals, Swamiji walking on the beach, Swamiji sitting in his room or taking a nap. Everything he did seemed wonderful to Govinda Dasi, and everything he did or said seemed to endear him more and more to her. Devotees would travel, no more than two at a time and only once a week, from Manhattan to Long Branch to visit Swamiji. Mostly they would see him sitting on his bed, but sometimes they would walk with him on the beach. The morning sunshine, he said, would help him, but the grey skies persisted. As Prabhupada sat one morning with Kirtanananda, Gaurasundara, Satswarupa, Govindadasi, and Jadurani on a blanket spread on the sand, he noticed some boys with surfboards trying to ride the waves. They think this is bliss, playing in the water, he said. Actually, there is some bliss there, but it is not Ananda, the bliss of the spiritual world. On Krishna Loka, everything is conscious. The water is conscious, the land is conscious, and everything is blissful. Here, that is not so. Devotees looked with him at the surfers bobbing in the sea. Yes, Ketananda said. And also, here it is dangerous. At any moment, one of the surfboards could jump up and hit him on the head. Yes, Srila Prabhupada said. This is not real Ananda. Prahlad Maharaj has said that this material world is crushing him like a grinding wheel of repeated birth and death. He says that in material life, he experiences either separation from what is beloved to him or meeting up with an obstacle he doesn't want. And in order to combat this condition, the remedy he takes is even worse than the disease. LSD is like that, a remedy worse than the disease. Except that Prabhupada's face looked thin, his appearance was the same as before his illness. He sat among them, wrapped in a grey wool chadar. They knew he must be very careful about how much he did. They would never forget, as they had forgotten before, that he was 72 years old. Perhaps never again would they be able to enjoy spending as much time with him as before. Certainly, for now, his intimate association had become a rare treasure. Sitting inches away from Prabhupada on the beach blanket, Satsvarupa asked a question on behalf of the devotees in New York. Swamiji, is wearing of leather shoes permissible? No. What if someone has given us some leather shoes? Leather means violence, Prabhupada said. He pointed to Satsvarupa's shoes of inexpensive man-made material. Your country is very nice. By your technology, you can get these shoes easily without wearing leather. For Satsvarupa and the others, the question was answered for a lifetime, and the time and place became a reference, like a chapter and verse number in the scriptures. As Jadurani helped Govindadasi gather flowers, the two girls talked together. Both had heard the men say that women were less intelligent, and they felt discouraged. Later, Govindadasi told Prabhupada about the problem. Is it true, she asked, that because we are women, we won't make advancement as quickly as the brahmacharis? Yes, Prabhupada answered. If you think of yourselves as women, how will you make any advancement? You must see yourself as a spirit soul, eternal servant of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gave Jadurani a photograph of himself to paint from, taken in India before he had come to America. It showed him grave and standing very straight against a blank white wall. Oh, Swamiji, Jadurani remarked, you look so unhappy here. No, he said thoughtfully, stretching out the sound of the word. No, that is not unhappy. That was a moment of ecstasy. Prabhupada drew Jadurani's attention to a picture on his wall. Mother Yashoda was rebuking her son Krishna for stealing butter, while in the distance two of Krishna's friends were hiding behind a tree, laughing. Prabhupada asked, do you think that Krishna would let himself get caught and his friends get away? She looked at the picture again. By the light of Swamiji's words, she could see that Krishna's friends would also soon be caught. She suddenly felt she was there in Vrindavan. They both laughed. After staying with Prabhupada for 2 days, Satsvarupa and Jadurani, the devotees visiting from New York, had to return to their duties. Although Prabhupada had been resting, he awoke just as they were about to depart, so they came into his room. In a faint voice, Prabhupada spoke a few words from his bed. Then he sat up and Gaurasundara began to massage him. People who think God is dead are crazy, Prabhupada said. Although no one had introduced the subject, for Prabhupada, preaching about Krishna was always a purpose. His voice picked up volume as he denounced the atheists. Just like if I go to the doctor, if he checks my heart and it is beating well, and if he checks my blood pressure and it is going on, and my breathing is there, and after observing all the symptoms of life, if I ask him, so doctor, what is the condition? If the doctor says, my dear sir, you are dead, is this not a crazy diagnosis? Gaurasundara, still massaging, glanced wide-eyed at the others. Prabhupada was now speaking in a loud, forceful voice, as if addressing a large audience instead of a few visitors in a sick room. Similarly, just see the signs of life in this universe. The sun is rising just on time. The planets are all moving in their orbits. There are so many signs of life, and the universe is God's body. And yet, they are seeing all these symptoms and declaring God is dead? Is it not foolishness? They are rascals. I challenge them, simply rascals. A few soft words had become half an hour of strong, emphatic speech meant to move the audience against all kinds of atheistic theorists. Although Ketanananda had at first cautioned Swamiji, reminding him about his health, Swamiji had dismissed the caution by saying, that's all right. But now he was exhausted and had to lie back down. The devotees had just seen Swamiji immediately use up whatever energy he had gained from his afternoon's rest. Although they admired how he was using everything for Krishna, they were also fearful. But they were helpless to restrain him. They were even implicated. They wanted to hear him. When Satswarupa and Jadurani returned to New York, Brahmananda had them tell the others about Swamiji. Satswarupa told how he had slept in the room with Swamiji and had felt that his nearness to Swamiji was very auspicious. He had felt light and peaceful and close to Krishna all night. Satswarupa and Jadurani told about sitting on the beach with Swamiji and his talking about everything's being conscious in Krishna Lok. And they had told how Swamiji had sat up in bed and had used his energy preaching, showing them that they should also use everything in the service of Krishna. Brahmananda beamed at the other devotees. Just look, by your talking about Swamiji, everyone is feeling blissful. Prabhupada stayed in Long Branch for 3 weeks, but when Sri Krishna Pandit wrote saying that he couldn't arrange for an Ayurvedic doctor to come to America, Prabhupada began to think more seriously about going back to India. In India, he could get sunshine and Ayurvedic treatment, but his plans would vary from one day to another. San Francisco, Montreal, India, New York. He told Kirtanananda to inform the devotees in San Francisco that if they held a Rath Yatra festival, he would come. At the end of June, he returned to 26 Second Avenue and to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor was surprised at Swamiji's recovery and had no objection to his flying to San Francisco. So, in search of sunny skies and eager to guide his followers in performing the first Rath Yatra, Prabhupada had airline tickets booked for himself and Kirtanananda to San Francisco, New Jagannath Puri. Hare Krishna. Okay, wonderful. All right, so I'll pause here today. Thank you so much. Anybody has any thoughts, reflections on today's reading? Any comments? I was just thinking again, kind of how it ties back magically. We read today about Adi Shankaracharya's teaching to his Mayavadi disciples how to not get lost in the Maya of this world and to always chant. And Prabhupada is in the same mood as Adi Shankaracharya in like a hammering voice, speaking to all the atheists, to all the rascals. Even the word rascal that he uses, Amoglila Prabhu says rascal also so many times. Prabhupada says, but rascal also has rus in it. So at your devotee always has, is full of rus. So he says, it's rus. And hopefully the rus will arise in these atheists' skull tomorrow. So that's why they're called rascal or rascals. But yeah, Prabhupada is so even at this condition of his health, how he's using each kind of iota of his energy in preaching and enlightening his disciples, because he knows ultimately that they are the flowers and the fruits, the next generation who will take this movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forward. So he's not wasting any moment. In every moment that he has left, he's preaching, he's enlightening them so that they see not just from his words, from his instructions, but also from his achar, like I said, from his actions, of how he is himself leading his life. So that's kind of the mood and the message of Srila Prabhupada, and which has been so nicely absorbed by his disciples and taken forward over this last 5 decades, and now kind of handing the baton to the next generation. So this is the parampara, evam parampara praptam. The parampara will go on for the next 10,000 years as predicted. So we also have to be part of this and do our bit to take this forward as Srila Prabhupada wanted. Okay, any other thoughts, comments from today's reading?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat.
Yes,
I'll remember the rascal analogy. That is so nice. I also really like Prabhupada. One thing was that really stood out for me was that Prabhupada's disciples at that time had developed such a strong faith in him in such a short time. And literally they became Prabhupadanukas, because everything Prabhupada was doing was an instruction for them. I really liked how Satsvarup Goswami Maharaj felt that this was, whatever he spoke was like as if written in scripture. It was stamped, time dated, and, quoted. So that is what our mood should be, that if our Acharya has said something, then we take it as a timestamp. And this question about women in our scriptures comes about so many times. So, if you take that word, like I really was very impressed that Mother Govindasi did not, counter question when Prabhupada said that you think yourself as a soul. She did not have any more questions. She took it as a timestamp, and that was it. So, at least I am trying to tell myself that this should be my mood, that when our acharyas have said something, then, we have so much firm faith that we take it as it is and don't, let that question be put to rest, because our acharyas have mentioned that. So that was just my takeaway, Prabhu.
Yeah, just that one thing kind of eliminates everything, right? If we just have the wrong identity, right? If we think ourselves as the body, Prabhupada in that one statement says, "You are the eternal soul, you are eternal servant of Krishna." That's it. If we recognize that identity, then everything else completely fades away, right? Then all this body and all this misconception that we have about ourselves, everything just fades away. So yeah.
Yeah. And right away, that discussion was put to rest. There was then discussion of Krishna's pastimes right after with Mother Jadurani. So that is a very wonderful instruction that as and we should all remember, I think.
Mm.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Anandini Gopika Mataji. Hope you are also recovering well, just like Srila Prabhupada is recovering here after your surgery. Okay, Hare Krishna. All right, anybody else would like to share anything?
Yes, Prabhuji, it stood out for me the point where the devotees had association with the pure devotee, and and they were very, very happy and blissful until they stayed with the Prabhupada. His presence made them very happy, and in one. Thing he told that having association with Prabhupada and sleeping near him, it gave him much energy, and he was very happy on that particular day. He was just mentioning in that this one. So I like that. So association of pure devotees help us to encourage us and regain and recoup us bounce back again to the life, Prabhuji. That is what I liked it. The association of Prabhupada, how it reflected their lives. And they started listening to him, and they wanted to go back, and they wanted to serve him. So how dedicated they were, Prabhuji, and how much they loved him and took care of him. I'm really amazed to see these hippies who were just having LSD and marijuana, but how they transformed themselves. So that one was really amazing for me, Prabhuji. It is really amazing. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. Through bhakti, we get that vision. That is externals, like just we were talking about this. I mean, when we see the externals, we get lost, right? But actually, through bhakti, the devotees can actually see the internals. And yeah, all these, even though they were so called, termed as hippies, but actually, they are pure devotees of the Lord and pure devotees of the Lord, right? Like Dasa, Dasanudas. So yeah, through their behavior, they're teaching us. And there's so many examples in scriptures. Right? We're talking about Jagannath Rath Yatra. Prabhupada is getting ready again. Jagannath Rath Yatra in Puri, the Daitas, they are the tribals, the aborigines, or untouchables. And when Jagannath first appeared as Neelamadhav, the story says, they were the tribal people who were worshipping him, right? And they were so dear to the Lord. And eventually, when Jagannath's deity was to be carved, that the log of wood that came in the sea, when Indradumna Maharaj tried to get it, they were not able to get it. And then Narada Muni comes as, of course, the universal teacher and guru, and he says, "What are you trying to do?" And he has used so many people as most powerful men to get that wood, but he's not able to. Ultimately, Narada Muni tells him, "But you are offending pure devotees of the Lord. Have you used them in the service?" Right? So they have to. Then eventually they realize their mistake, and they call those daitas, and then they are just so easily they're able to get that wood, and then from that, of course, Jagannath deities are carved. But so the Lord doesn't really care about these externals, right? So whether you're untouchable, so many examples. Even Shabari Same thing, Shabar, they were both from Shabar tribes. Shabri Muni, Mother Shabri, as well as the Shabara tribes, the Daitas and Jagannath's pastimes. So externally, yeah, we may see him, they are the untouchables, but we see, the pure devotion that they had for the Lord in their heart. That is what melts the Lord's heart, and that's what attracts the all attractive. So same thing in our lives today. Yeah, all these so-called, maybe when we're thinking, people are labeling them as hippies, and even today, like African Americans, so many nice devotees are there who are from their body color, or from what they were doing before they came into Krishna consciousness may look very awkward, but the amount of devotion, pure devotion that they have in their heart is unparalleled. So, and that is what the Lord is actually attracted by. Yes, Mataji, thank you for sharing that very nice realization. Okay, Hare Krishna. All right, anybody else? Any other thoughts? Final comments? Okay, if not, I'll stop here. Thank you again for your kind association and wonderful reflections, realizations, and taking home this instructions of Srila Prabhupada into your memory and time-stamping it forever, for eternity. Hare Krishna. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंतकोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय. जगद्गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय. शिला प्रभुपाद लीलामृत की जय. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. हरि हरि बोल. हरे कृष्णा. Have a
Hare
wonderful day.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji,
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Pranams.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.